Hello and welcome to this lecture on protein digestion. So protein digestion, similar with just like our fats and our carbohydrates, starts in the mouth with mechanical breakdown, mechanical digestion, chewing, moving food around in the mouth. From there we pass into through the esophagus into the stomach. And in the stomach, this is where we see the really unique aspect of protein digestion. So remember, the gastric cells secrete hydrochloric acid. And hydrochloric acid denatures our proteins, or basically pulls apart that quaternary structure of the protein. Hydrochloric acid also converts pepsinogen to pepsin, and that pepsin is an enzyme that further starts to break down those peptide chains. From the stomach, we move into the small intestine, and in the small intestine, we see pancreatic enzymes. So again, enzymes coming from the pancreas. That start to break down the polypeptide chains even further, now seeing individual amino acids from the digestion of the polypeptide. And then just like with our fats and our basic monosaccharides, we'll see the amino acids move into the enterocytes, or into the mucosal cells. Pretty straightforward transport here, nothing really unique, nothing crazy to say, but just basically moving through, usually with a carrier protein, but otherwise moving through into the enterocyte and then ultimately into the blood vessel. As we've seen before, the liver is sort of this regulator organ. So amino acids will commonly go to the liver first, and then the liver will then determine where to send the various amino acids throughout the rest of the body. And of course, as with most things, some amount of amino acid or dietary protein will be lost in the feces, particularly if people have trouble with hydrochloric acid production in the stomach. We can see some pretty disrupted protein digestion, which would result in actually quite a bit of dietary protein being lost in the feces. Sorry that this is quite blurry, but just a review of the enzymes that act in protein digestion. You don't need to necessarily know all of these, but just kind of being familiar with that there are quite a few enzymes that act in the small intestine. So remember, pepsin in the stomach via the action of hydrochloric acid, pancreatic enzymes that work on polypeptide chains in the small intestine, and then knowing that even on that brush border, those microvilli and in the enterocyte, we actually see some further amino acid digestion. And then amino acids will leave the small intestine and head into the hepatic vein going to the liver. I thought this would be just a kind of a nice slide to do a little review for yourself. We could even create something like this for carbohydrates and for fats too. But just see if you can kind of match up each one of these blue boxes with the corresponding organ. So I'll let you do that on your time if you want to, and if you have any questions about it, feel free to send me an email. And then again, another little review of this concept of the amino acid pool. So as we kind of continually turn over body tissue and build new tissue, again, cell turnover in the body, we're constantly contributing to the amino acid pool. And again, as we eat foods that are containing proteins, which is most food, any real food gives us protein, we contribute again to the amino acid pool. So from the amino acid pool, we may, again, use that in some protein synthesis in the body, either turning over new cells or adding on to body tissue. We might also see creation of some other molecules that we use throughout the body, so different hormones, again, being amino acid based, enzymes being amino acid based, creatine and carnitine, some molecules that we'll see when we look at metabolism. These are play a role in our metabolism, and nucleotides, again, being amino acid based. So when if we are not using amino acids for either of these two things, if we were either going to use the amino acid backbone for fat storage or for energy, we would have to process out the urea the amino group, which again, the liver converts to ammonia and then to a urea because ammonia is very toxic. And so we have to get rid of that, which we do through the urine, through the kidneys. And then lastly, just again, another nice schematic of the functions of protein. So structural, contractile, transport, storage, hormone, enzyme, protection, kind of defining what those roles are in the body and then giving you some really nice examples. So structural would be collagen in our tendons and our cartilage, keratin in our skin and nails. Contractile would be myosin and actin filaments in the muscle fibers. Transport are the lipoproteins transporting lipids, and hemoglobin, which is the red blood cell, transports oxygen. Storage, so in milk, we see casein as a protein, and then ferritin we see throughout the body, particularly spleen and liver, storing iron. Hormones, again, some hormones are protein-based, others are fat-based, cholesterol-based. Insulin and growth hormone are both protein hormones. And then enzymes, we've been seeing tons of enzymes in these past couple of lectures on digestion, sucrase being one of our digestive enzymes. And protection, so the immune system, immunoglobulins, and a lot of our other immune cells are proteins.